Good evening. Would you stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please? John, if you would lead us in prayer, please.
Almighty God, we thank you for those that are here to do the business of our community. Lord, we ask that all those that are in government will find your direction and that you will give them wisdom and insight, and you will help them to remember that they're there as a sacred trust, and that each of us depends upon their integrity and their honor and their care for the community and doing the best they can. That we might have trust in them and feel safe and continue to pursue our lives. Lord, we ask that you would bless them as they do these things, and that they'll remember that they someday will give an accounting for the decisions they've made, however mundane or trivial they might seem at the time. But we ask us all, and they're watching over these proceedings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Accordion, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the special session of the Vienna City Council for February the 1st, 2022. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. No one signed up to speak on the public forum this evening, so we'll go right on in. The report of the minutes from the January 27th, 2022 regular council meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If no objections, and the minutes will stand approved as posted. The report of the treasurer will be given at the first regular meeting of the month. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we move right into new business. This will be the interview and selection for the temporary filling of the vacant council seat. Recorder Elam is in charge this evening, so you're on.
Good evening. Candidates, I'm going to have you guys in alphabetical order draw a card. I have Ace through 7. I thought that was the fair way to draw them all. Okay. And so in alphabetical order, I'm going to mix these up. I'm going to stick them in the box. You know where you'll draw. Okay. These don't look. And so Kelly, this will be the order that you're interviewed tonight.
Thank you, John.
What'd you get? Oh, 6. Okay. Mark down. We mark number 6 on your sheet. Mark the order as you play it. And I'm going to keep mark. Okay. Sorry, Chad. Number 7. All right. Experiment 7. Let's see, your Alice. Okay. There it is. I know. Oh, Alice is number 1. Way to go. All right. Next is Chris. 2. Chris. Let's see here. Jim? Yep. You guys are hitting my cards. 3. Jim's 3. All right, Chuck. Roger, gonna get what's left. Do you want to draw, or do you want me to tell you what you are? Check 4. Check's 4. All right, so that means you are 5. All right. You got that? Got them all?
Got it.
Okay. So candidates, here's how we're gonna do it. We are going to have the first one, so Alice, right? So Alice, you'll be first, you'll stand at the podium, so that we can hear you with microphone and everything. And everybody else will be escorted to the employee break room, just so that you're not overhearing everything that's going on. We do ask that you not be on your phones, not be watching the live stream while all of this is going on. When you're done with your interview, you'll sit back in your seat for the next one. So after all of the interviews are done, we will take nominations, and while the nominations are in, we'll vote, and that person will be sworn in this evening. Okay, so good luck to all of you. We're glad that you're here and that you want to participate in the city council. So, all right, Teresa, would you mind escorting them out? So, if you are not Alice, please follow Teresa. Okay, Alice, you have, we will start the clock for you. You have 12 minutes, okay? So, if everybody's ready, please join us. And so, Alice, we'll ask you to first start. Sorry, I'll use my microphone. We'll ask you to first start with just a brief introduction of yourself, knowing that council does have questions prepared for you. So we do want to make sure that we allow time for that. So if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get to our questions.
Okay. Well, my name is Alice Goodwin. I live on 28th Street here in Vienna. I've been here for over 20 years. My husband was a late firefighter for Vienna, and my father-in-law was Danny Goodwin. I graduated from WVUP and from WVU with a degree in an applied science and a bachelor's degree. I work at WVSSAC, have been there for over 20 years, dealing with coaches and officials throughout the state for various sports. And I have 4 grandsons that I'm very proud of, and I have a good time with them.
Great. Great. I'm going to just start at the end with Kim, and we're going to work our way this way, if that's good. So, council, again, if your question overlaps with somebody else, just move on to the next question that you may have. And if a follow-up question is appropriate, please do that.
Okay. Welcome, Alice. Appreciate you putting yourself forward for this consideration this evening. So my question is the question of why. Why are you seeking this seat, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, Danny and Lee were both civil servants in the fire department, and I didn't grow up doing that. So once I moved here and I got to see what they did, I got a whole new view of things. And unfortunately, because of who they were, when I saw things going on in city, I was told, you have to kind of keep quiet. So now I don't have to. I can put forth my views of what I see fit. I'd like to see things in the city, actual projects get started and get finished, not patchwork. Transparency, not just to the council members, but to the citizens of Vienna. We deserve that. We deserve to have our questions answered when we ask, not put off or just say that, okay, that's just the way it is. I realize that things operate in a certain way, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Things can be a lot more productive, and the city can get a lot more done instead of just letting things just roll on.
Thank you.
Mr. Azinger, please speak in your microphone also, please.
Usually got to learn. Thanks for being here. What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and what areas would you like to improve? I think you enumerated that a minute ago. Maybe you wanted to add something else.
The strength is the community, how people gather together to work together to make things happen. We all have different strengths and different skill sets, different mindsets on how to get things done. The main thing is to make sure that I'm of the belief that you can take people with different ideas and different ways of doing things and bring them together and work out something. And it doesn't have to be status quo. I believe sometimes the best decisions come from thinking out of the box. Normal doesn't always get you where you need to be. One of the things I would like to see done that is important to me, actually, it's a couple things: the infrastructure, repairing the sewer and water lines in the streets, and making sure that our parks, especially the ball fields, because Vienna lost the state volleyball, state softball tournament because of the fields, and it was been ongoing for years, and they never got done, and so the city lost that revenue generated by that state tournament. And I, for one, even though I work for the organization that does that, I, for one, was proud to say, yes, we have a state tournament, because not every city can say that. And I wouldn't mind seeing it come back again at some future date.
Do you have any experience in budgeting?
Well, home budgeting. I do my own budget at home. And I do financial reports at work for like the basketball sectional games that come in from the schools, the regional basketball games that come in, the paperwork, making sure that they've added 1 and 1 equals 2, and making sure that everything there is right. And then I put it together and I give it to my bosses, because I've got 4, so we have different things we do with them.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Alice. Thanks for being here. So my question relates to the city employee base. We've had discussions, we're coming up, and whomever is appointed tonight will be instrumental in the budget process, be going through it. Explain to me a little bit about what your view is with respect to the total compensation plan for our city employees and the value these employees bring to the delivery of service to our citizens.
Well, I have to say, we have some of the best employees, regardless of where they work, on the streets, or the sewer, inside the city building. And as an employee myself, I like to be compensated for what I do, but not overpaid for what I do. And I think when you're looking at salaries, I think salaries should be commensurate with your experience, whether it's years and knowledge. That should be taken into account. And it should be fair across the board. When it comes to department head salaries, I'm just going to say this. I don't think somebody should get a raise because they're the lowest person on the totem pole of the other head departments. I think it needs to be looked at compared to other communities our size that offer the same services and stuff we do, and make sure that it's commensurate and it's a good living, because a lot of families are having to live off of 2 incomes, and sometimes that even 2 incomes aren't enough. So I think it's very important that we make sure that our employees are happy and healthy, and that they're being paid well for what they do, but not overpaid to the point where it's like just throwing money in the wind. I'm a little bit of I'm gonna say a tightwad. I don't like to be frivolous with my money. I want to know where it goes. I want to know how it's spent. And I want to save wherever I can save.
Thank you.
You passing, or are you going to?
So Alice, in your opening remarks, you said that you'd been with the SSAC for 20 years approximately. So in your course of your job, I'm assuming that you understand the value of a team, and that with all the sporting events and all the things that the SAC is over, this group of people that sit up here are a team as well. And so what do you think that you could bring to the team that would make our team better?
Specifically, I am a team-oriented person, because I believe there is no I in team. But I believe everybody has to work together. You can't just have 1 or 2 people just strolling off. And like I said, I think you should be able to come together, say what needs to be said, and then just pull it together, pick the best out of it. That way everybody can kind of get what they want, and it still works, but not be good just for them, but it's good for everybody, not only the council, but the city, for the citizens, and can make it work and work together, because I've seen too much in this council where it's me, me, me. It's what I want. It's what I want. And I'm not seeing a lot of unity. And I would like to be able to do that because I can work together that way. And even though I'm a very decisive person, I'm also understanding that sometimes things may not work the way you want, but that doesn't mean you have to bulldoze the rest of them to keep things from being able to move on at a right pace to get things done.
Great, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pass and give it to Roger.
Hi, Alice.
Hey, Roger.
Thanks for being here. I'm going to be brief. What I'd like for you to do, Alice, if you would, just kind of give us a snapshot of maybe 3 priorities that you see for the city moving forward.
One, I would like to see the ball fields and the other fields like soccer and stuff come to fruition, because soccer is a growing sport. Get our ball fields in playing condition where not only can we just use whether it be a rec league or middle school or high school, leagues, get those fields up and running. It's been an ongoing project for years, long before that, and I think that's a thing. I would love to see our water lines fixed and the sewer lines upgraded, or upgraded, however you want to put it. And those actually get a plan in place and implement it and actually have a starting place, not hopscotch around town, fix this, fix that, an actual beginning and ending to a project. And the third one, maybe some of the sidewalks and stuff here in town. Some of them are not the best in the world if you want to really go walking around your block.
Alice, you have about 1.5 minutes left. Any closing remarks, any follow-up that you'd like to do with us?
Well, after running for election in 2020, it was a great process. I got to learn a lot. I took notes, and don't take the fact that I may not say something all the time, that I'm not listening or watching. I'm paying attention. It's just that you won't hear me say anything until I'm ready. I do believe working as a team, working together with everybody, and everybody understanding, even though you can say you can agree to disagree on some things, but respect the other person's opinion and still be able to move on. I'm a firm believer in that. I work with 4 bosses, and none of them are the same. And so we have to find our own way of making sure they get their job done so that we can get our job done and make them look as good as we possibly can. And I would like to be able to do that for not only for the council, but also for our citizens, so that when they talk about the council, they have a smile on their face and say, yes, things are getting done finally. We've got a good group of people, and they're working together, and they're doing the best that they can.
All right, great. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Chris Mancuso, please. And go ahead and give me the order real quick.
Yeah, you got Chris, Jim Miracle, Chuck, Rod, Kelly, and Chad.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Chris. Okay, so you've got 12 minutes, and when we get around, I will not be asking a question. I'll tell you how much time you have left. Okay, and then we're going to start with Kim, work our way around, but we're first going to ask that you just briefly introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're running, and then we'll start the questions.
Awesome. All right. Well, I guess I am a born and raised Vienna resident. I grew up here and went to high school here. So I've always known about the area. I've loved the area. I went off to school and to study architecture. So my background is in architecture and design and urban design. So I have a lot of experience with the built environment and how that impacts people and how we live in that world. So I've always been interested in community building. That's kind of one of the things that I focus on in my work and career. And a big reason that I moved back here. I still have family that live in the area, and am very passionate about this community and see the potential that it has. And I think I've mentioned that a few times in the few times that I've spoken before you guys here in the last year or so. But yeah, I guess I'm just really passionate about using my skills and knowledge and experience from other places and through school to kind of help serve the community and hope to move it in a good direction.
Okay, thank you. All right, Kim, if you would start. And council, again, remember, we want to be consistent with our questions, so we try to stick with the questions that you've asked as much as they're relevant to the candidate.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Chris. Thank you very much for offering to put yourself out here this evening and to be considered for the temporary position as well as running on the ballot. So my first question is just the obvious question. Why? Why are you seeking this seat, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, I am not someone to get into politics. I'm not a political person by any means. But, you know, having attended the city council meetings for the past year, I just realized that I could offer a lot of experience and knowledge that, you know, as a licensed architect, I might be one of the only licensed architects in the area, let alone the city. So that is a unique kind of skill set that I think really tends to lend itself towards, you know, city council and understanding how a city can grow and develop and prosper.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for being here. What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and what do you think we can improve on going forward?
That's a great question. So I think there are a lot of strengths. I think that being on the Ohio River, being so close to Parkersburg and in between Parkersburg and Marietta, you know, having Grand Central Avenue and, you know, the amount of people that pass through our town every day are all incredible strengths. You know, the school systems we have, the parks that we've had, even looking at some of the master plan stuff that came out of the past few weeks and the parks and the opportunities that we have there. I think the city is ripe for growth and development, and looking at how Marietta and Parkersburg have grown and changed and adapted in the last few years, I think that Vienna is right on the cusp of being able to do that. I think some of the weaknesses are, you know, I've said it a few times in the city council meetings, is just a lack of kind of clear direction. I think having the master plan for the parks is awesome and kind of gives the city a direction that people can like look towards and look at and say, hey, are we doing this? How are we doing this? Why aren't we doing this? And so I think that's kind of a big thing for me is I would love to see the city develop some kind of a comprehensive plan to sort of look at, you know, 5 years and 10 years down the road instead of maybe more or less reacting to some issues that come up every now and then.
Are we supposed to ask more than one?
That's fine. Go ahead and ask the question you asked earlier. It's fine.
Okay. Do you have any budgeting experience?
Yeah. So I have, you know, as an architect, I've had to work through a lot of budgeting for projects and understanding costs of development and understanding materials and even scheduling projects. And especially now through COVID, having to understand, you know, the implications of lead times for materials and products and service and things. I feel like in the world of architecture, which very similarly relates to a lot of the budgeting stuff that we have to look at as a city council person, I have a fair amount of experience with that.
Hi, Chris. So I guess kind of being locked into the same question, my question related to our employee base, but I'm going to vary a little bit with you because I've listened carefully to what you've said in the times you've come to council. You've talked about master plans With respect to the role of our city employees, we have about 80 employees, and in leading in a direction to have a consistent development plan for the city of Vienna, what role do you see our existing infrastructure staff playing in that, and what kind of leadership do you think that you could offer to help move us forward, with this workforce that we have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, having those guiding principles can help kind of bring everyone together under that one vision instead of having, the police department and the library and, the fire department and the utility board and things. If we come up with some kind of a comprehensive plan as a council, we can then sit down and kind of bring everyone together and say, look, this is where the city wants to go. We might have to cut your budget a little bit here to kind of bump this up, but you'll see in the next 3 to 5 years, that's going to really improve the things that you need as well. And kind of getting everyone on the same page, I think, is a great way as the council to lead the city and community.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Mayor?
Chris, thanks for coming. I guess my question for you is, being on city council is like being on any other project that you've been on. There's a team that you have to work with. What do you think your skill set would bring as a team member with this particular city council?
Yeah, like you said, in the world of architecture, it is very collaborative. I work with mechanical engineers, structural engineers. I work with different cities across the state and in Ohio. So the things that I do are very collaborative, and I understand how to take and give, because my grand design as an architect comes down to, can the client actually afford it, and will the city allow it? And so how do we kind of compromise on those things to make something actually still be successful, but meet the needs of everyone? So I definitely feel that I have good experience in understanding that. And as an architect, a lot of times we lead those projects and have to kind of wrangle people together and get people on the same page. And I think that just kind of is a great opportunity for me to kind of serve in a role similar to that on the council, and getting people to work together is always important. So.
Follow-up question.
That's fine, yeah, follow up.
So you're a young man,
Yeah.
okay? So what do you think you could bring to Vienna that we would be able to either attract or retain people your age?
Yeah, I think that's also, a good reason to at least consider my running to be on the city council, is understanding that the city has actually lost a lot of people, especially my age, in the recent years. And why is that? And, before moving back here, I lived in a big city. I lived in Denver, Colorado, which is thriving with people that are my age. And so what are some of the differences that can realistically come to a city the size of Vienna? So I think, my past experiences in living in bigger, more urban environments and places that aren't so different from this, like Lexington, Kentucky, where I went to school, and seeing how some of those places have grown and developed and brought people that are my age into those areas, I think that could be a big benefit for serving on the city council. I don't have any specific ideas that come to mind immediately, but just kind of talking with some of the other council members on the master plan for the Parks and Rec, I think it would be huge to have some kind of rec center or something like that people my age could come to and work out and play indoor soccer. The fact that I have to travel 20 or 30 minutes just to go play indoor soccer with some friends kind of stinks. And probably could be a big draw for someone that's my age to come to this area.
Thank you.
Thanks. You got about 2 minutes left. Roger will ask for your next one.
Chris, if you could give us 3 quick, what you would believe to be priorities for the city of Vienna moving forward.
Yeah, I think the pool is a huge thing. The amenities that the city offers is a big deal, and understanding how to develop the pool and create those amenities to keep people here is a really important thing. I would say the second thing is, having that vision, developing a vision for the future to really look at, what ways does the city want to grow and how can we entice local businesses or, commercial real estate to come in and be utilized. A third thing, I guess, would be, and this might be my own passion, but I think alternative means of transportation is a huge thing for me. I love riding my bike, and it's pretty terrifying trying to bike down Grand Central or anywhere in Vienna. I mean, I don't know that Vienna actually has any kind of designated bike roads or paths that I'm aware of. So just even kind of considering that would be a cool thing to look at.
Thank you.
You've got about 50 seconds left. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, I think I'm excited, and I think it's awesome that we have, 8 or 9 people here that are even looking to run and be appointed to this position. It just shows that the community is invested in what we're doing here. And as someone that lives here, lives a few blocks away, I think I'm just really excited to kind of see how the city moves forward. And even if I don't, get appointed this evening or, depending on how the election turns out in a few months, I definitely will still be here. And I hope to be a good asset to the community and serve as an architect and share my knowledge with you guys.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, Teresa, will you please get Jim Miracle? Thank you. Oh, that was mine. Sorry. Yeah, I do have it on silent. Loud silent.
His name, Chris Mancuso.
Got it. F number. 1, 2, 3.
Ladies,
Jim,
gentlemen.
how are you? Hey, you've got 12 minutes. We're going to ask you to briefly introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about why you're here, and then council will begin asking questions. Kim will start, and we'll go around. And when it comes to me, I'll let you know how much time you have left.
Okay.
Okay? Go ahead.
Jim Miracle, lived here for the last 27 years. And 8 of those years, I was sitting in that chair right over there. And when Mike passed away and I knew the seat was going to be empty, I, in his honor, come to and then decided to talk to my wife, and I thought I'd like to be a city councilman again and honor Mike by taking his seat. I've been through 7 budgets. I know you're getting ready to do the budget. I did 7 of those while I was on council. It's not an easy process, but I do have the experience. And I have, one of the biggest things, I got off disability 8 years ago, went to work at the library, been there for 8 years. One of the proudest things I ever did was get off disability, back to work. And my work ethic is, I do my job, and the mayor can tell you, when I did my job, I was doing it. And I did it the best I could do. So I'd love to sit right back down there again and take up where I left off. But anybody got any questions?
Yeah, Kim, go ahead.
Well, welcome this evening. Appreciate you coming out and putting yourself forward for this appointment and potentially, you're on the ballot. So.
I am in the ballot, yes.
Great, wonderful. So my question was really why, but I think you kind of answered that in your statement there. So I'd really like to focus on what would you like to accomplish if you were appointed to this position and if you were successful in May in the election?
Any time I've worked for the people, I've been on, I headed the Historic Landmarks Commission for the county. I run Carline's Battery. I do it for the people. I don't do it for myself. I do it for the people that I work for. I don't work for me, I work for the people of Vienna. And the one thing I like about Vienna Council is it's nonpartisan. We all work for the same end, and that's the way I like to do things. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Go ahead, Thomas. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and how can we build on those to improve in the future?
Our strength is that we all work together to for a good outcome for the citizens. The stuff I've kept up on the last couple of years since I haven't been on, but this thing with the parks, if you could do all that, it'd be super. We keep up on everything. We got some of the best parks in the county. If they're kept up well, we got some of the best employees in the county. I just like the way everybody works together, and I want to be a part of that to make things better for the citizens.
I've asked the other two this question. I know the answer is yes, but I guess as a matter of formality, I should ask you, do you have any experience in budgeting?
Yes, I do the budget for the Historic Landmarks Commission. I do the one for Carter's Battery. I was actually on the budget, did Jim's job when I was on council. I gave the report of the solvency of the city. And I've had to work with budgets in a lot of places over my lifetime.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim. My question has been with respect to the city employee base. In our last budgetary period, we imposed an additional 8% in their health insurance cost to the employees.
Right.
What role do you see our employee base in adding value to the city and the services that we provide to our community?
Well, I know my last couple of years on city council, that's when we went from employees paying nothing to employees paying something. And I think with the way things are in the economy and stuff, you got to have the employees pay something. And I think overall that if you treat them correctly, they'll come up with it. I don't think it'll be much of, but I think it's needed, yes.
Okay, Mayor?
Jim, I don't really have a question for you. I've known you for so long. The question that I asked the other candidates was simply about teamwork and the fact that the group of people that sit here, we really are a team.
Yes, we are.
But I know how you fit in, and so I think I'll pass on him. I mean, if you have anything you'd like to say in regard to the team, then you're welcome to do that.
I'm a team player, and I'm strictly, I love playing team at the library. I'm all the time saying we got to work as a team. Now, if there's something that really grates me, I might buck against the team, but if I'll listen. I'm not one of these people who get bullheaded, and I'm not going to change my mind. If you talk to me, give me a good reason for doing something, I'm liable to change my mind. But it better be good and sound reason. I'm a team player, but I'm also an individual who works for this city and the people of this city.
Thank you.
I am going to ask you a question, since you're the only one that we're interviewing this evening that was on council before.
Yeah.
I would like to know, from your past time on council,
Yeah.
what did you learn and what did you see in yourself that you could improve on? Like, how could, what you did, we've heard what your priorities and what your strengths and that kind of stuff are, but in hindsight, what could you say, you know what, I'm going to do that better?
I thought I did a good job last time.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm not saying you didn't at all. I'm just asking, as you look back, what would you like to conquer?
I took phone calls at midnight from angry citizens. I went out to their house. I've talked to people. It's what you do when you're sitting in that seat.
Okay.
You are the people's representative.
Great. You've got about 5 minutes left, and we'll go to Roger.
Well, Jim, I sat beside you here for, 8 years?
Yep.
And so I'm kind of like the mayor. I kind of feel like I know you, and but I do would, if you just kind of, if I was to say, Jim, moving forward, what do you think the top 3 priorities for the city ought to be for the future?
I think the swimming pool, for one, just like I said, because we shut that thing down, it's not going to be great. People need that. Especially, and I like the idea of the kiddie pool. I think that's driving people from our pool. Some more park renovations. I know there's some sewer problems we're having. 'Cause I I also served on the utility board. Matter of fact, I was one of the originals that got it up and running with the mayor. I was actually the vice chairman of the utility board. That was an interesting couple of years. I learned a lot from there about budgetary and about the cost of things. It's amazing the cost, especially with prevailing wage and that type of thing you got to go by. So I've learned a lot for the 8 years, and I've carried that with me through with the stuff I've done since then. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Jim, do you have anything you want to wrap up with? You've got about 3 minutes left. Any closing comments? Anything you want to leave us with?
Well, when I talked to my wife about doing this, and she's behind me, and I'm a public servant. My mother was a people person, and I'm right there with her because I like to serve the people. I like to be with the people. I'm feeling better than I have for years. Like I say, I got off disability, went back to work, and I feel I've been an asset. So I hope, and there's 7 of us. So, and also, I made the commitment of putting in my ballot for this to be for a short appointment, but I made the commitment to run, and I will be here to run in May.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you.
for listening to me.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thank you. Teresa, we're ready for Mr. Knopfsinger. Mr. Knopfsinger, after he is interviewed, we will take a brief break. What, 5-10 minutes? Something. And yeah, just a quick break after him, and then we'll resume interviews. Oh yeah, that's me. I'm like, what are we waiting
I thought you were
for?
going to depend on me.
Hey, how you doing? No, I'll start it off. Okay, reset my clock. So you have 12 minutes. We want you to start off by telling us about yourself and a little bit about why you're here. And then we'll start off with Kim. She'll start the questions and we'll go around the circle. When it gets to me, I'll let you know how much time you have left and we'll continue to Roger. Okay, so
All right.
now start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm Chuck Knopfsinger. I know most of you. I grew up in Putnam County near Buffalo, small town. It's where the Toyota plant now is. I have 2 older brothers, so I got beat up a lot as a youngster. So it taught me a lot of good lessons about life. I'm married, been married for 33 years to Peggy. She's a school teacher here in Wood County. We have 2 children. Ben, our son, he is married and lives in Longmont, Colorado, and he has 3 children. Abby, our daughter, she is here still in Wood County, and she teaches for Wood County schools. She has 23 kindergartners this year, so she's being challenged. I've had a long work history. I started working when I was about 12 years old, having yards to mow. Then when I was in high school, I worked for a funeral home and worked in the funeral home business through college. Also had other jobs through college, so I've worked a long time. I also believe in education. If you got a copy of my resume there, I believe we should have a lifetime of learning, and we should continue to learn throughout our whole lifetime. It's great for us. It keeps us stimulated. Plus, there's always an opportunity to learn. I'm interested in trying to help the city with this situation. I know that it's a particular situation for a short period of time, and I've had some experience with different areas in the city. I've been on the park board for several years. I was on the Tree and Beautification Commission for several years. I'm now the city representative for the Transit Authority Board. So I think I would have a shorter learning curve for this short period of time that's going to be available for the help to give to the city. That's what I'd like to try to do.
Great, thank you. Tim, go ahead.
Welcome, Chuck.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks for coming out, putting yourself forward this evening. Just so I understand, are you just considering the temporary appointment, or are you going on the ballot as well?
I am not going on the ballot. I'm just here giving you an option of someone that if you need someone that might work in the temporary time period, I'm here to just do that.
Okay, because
I'm not going to be running for any future position.
Because my question was the question of why, why are you seeking the position, and what do you hope to accomplish? So, so you're considering the temporary position. So what would you hope to accomplish in that time period?
Well, I know that you're coming into budget time, and that's a very difficult time. There's a lot of issues to get through, and I think that I could be helpful in that. Like I said, I think I'd have a small learning curve to get involved and help you all with that. And that's my goal, is to try to help with that. There's other things that I'd like to see in Vienna. I definitely think there's been a lot of good discussion with City Council, with infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, the storm water issues. There's a lot, and I would, if in that short period of time I can do something, I would want to do something with that as well.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks for being here. What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and how can we build on those to improve in the future?
I've said it several times. I didn't grow up here. I've been here. I've lived here for 21 years now, and I've lived in several places throughout West Virginia: Morgantown, Wheeling, Buchanan, and Vienna is unique. And it's been handled and managed very well. And I think that is a strength. I think it is a major retail center for the whole Mid-Ohio Valley region. And I think that one way to improve that would be that we work with surrounding areas. Because of our land limitation, we need to work with the surrounding areas to bring in more jobs maybe in those areas, and then we could be that retail center to grow our financial base in retail.
Do you have any experience in budgeting?
Yes. I've been involved in my church finance budgeting. I've been involved in other organization budgeting, our Vienna Recreation Association. We have budgets for each sport. So I have done budgeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're sticking to the questions, Chuck. So mine has been with respect to our employee base and the priority that keeping longevity, experienced employees within our system. What's your attitude? Obviously, you're a small business person here. You rely on these services from the community or from the city. So tell me a little bit about what kind of focus that is for you.
With respect
to our employee base. I mean, like I said, I kind of got locked into this question, so there you go.
That's okay. I think we're very fortunate with the employees we have. I've worked with, a lot of them with different aspects of the parks and recreation. I know they share equipment, they share employees to get jobs done. And, I think we're very blessed with the workers we have. And I think that we need to make sure that we pay attention to those that we have. And we need to make sure that we keep ourselves competitive to hold on to them and keep them working. The other thing that kind of concerns me, and they're not employees, but it's our volunteer fire department. And I'm concerned with the fact that that people aren't volunteering as much. And if we lose our volunteer fire department, that would be a heavy blow financially to the city. So I think we need to focus on trying to encourage volunteerism into the fire department and keep that alive. It's very valuable. Those people do a great job.
Thanks, Joe.
Madam Recorder, I've known Mr. Knopfsinger, and I know his experience with the city. I'd like to yield my question to Mr. E. Leach. Ask him a question. You can have mine.
Thanks. All right, I got it. Okay. All right, Chuck, so you've already said that you are not on the ballot in May, and so you're offering this service to the community to get us through this tragic loss that we've had. as we go into this budget process, what are your goals in terms of helping us move forward through a difficult time and also into this budget process? You've heard, I know you and I have talked many times over the years. I've probably talked with you as much as anyone I have in the city. So as you move into this temporary position, what would your priorities be to help us move through?
My number one priority would be that I would inform myself so that when I'm discussing or when I'm listening to other discussions about the budget, that I would have the facts and the information. That would be a priority for me, is to get in, get the information, know, what's being projected in the budget, and actually be knowledgeable about, the things that would be in the budget and what the money would need to be spent for it. That would be my highest priority, is to get myself prepared for that and do that, and to keep the budget, reasonable and to the best benefit of the citizens here in Vienna.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Chuck, you've got about 3.5 minutes left. Mr. Bibby, you want to ask your question?
Yeah. Chuck, thanks for being here. You and I have had opportunities to discuss issues in the past, and I've always appreciated hearing, what you had to say. I do again tonight. What I want to talk about is kind of just a little bit of a snapshot with you thinking as a city overall. What would be maybe 3 priorities that you think would be important moving the city forward?
Number one, the infrastructure, water, sewer, storm, water control, and also the roads. I think a 5-year plan, a master plan, if you want to call it that, I think that would be important. I think that's one thing that hasn't been predominant here in Vienna, is a real clear 5-year or even longer. I know in today's world, things move fast, and 5 years is about how far you probably want to go out. 10 years, too much gets lost because of how much change. Third, I think that the priority would be in the recreation area, because I think that keeps families wanting to be here. And if I can add a 3A, it would be trying to keep young people here. I'm sad that my son had to go to Colorado, and I would want to try to make a priority of this city keeping our young assets here and involved. And I know that's a big challenge. Sorry, I gave you a 3A.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right, so you've got about 1.5 minutes left. Any closing remarks, anything you want to leave us with?
I would just like to say, and I have talked to most of you individually, and I respect you all greatly. I respect that you put yourself out to run for the office and then be here and put yourself out every time. And I just want to share that respect. And if I can help, that's what I want to do. And that's why I'm here, just to make myself available as a choice. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
all.
All righty.
Thanks.
How long break?
We'll adjourn until 7 o'clock.
Great.
7 minutes.
Let them know that we're on a break and we'll resume at 7. Okay, thank you.
You wasn't here when you showed up. I don't have evidence to prove it to you.
I know, but a
I don't
comment
have
brought
evidence
up
to
to
prove
me.
it to you.
I thought,
The circumstances lean heavily.
okay, I'm just gonna get
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
talk first.
Don't be like mine.
Me, one for you.
Brought the snobby water.
You're right.
Listen, I am a water snob now. This is what I prefer.
I prefer San Pellegrino.
No, it's too
Hello.
salty, too sweet. Hey, Rod, we're over here discussing our water preferences. You've got 12 minutes, and I will keep the time for you. And the first 3 minutes or so, just give us an introduction of yourself. Let us know kind of who you are, maybe why you're here, and then we'll start questions with Kim, and we'll work our way around the circle. When you get to me, I'll tell you how much time you've got left, and we'll close up with Roger, and you'll have a chance to wrap it up at the end.
Okay. very
Okay?
good.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
go ahead.
All right, thank you. Well, my name's Rodney Smith. I'm retired. I was 32 years with Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. I was director of underwriting. Basically, if you've seen my resume, it's a lot of the rates came through my shop, and I dealt closely with sales. Sales' main goal was to keep the contracts or get contracts, where in underwriting we had to follow plans, financial goals. So you have a tendency of a conflict there at times, but we had a great sales department. My job was to try to help them to retain the contracts as well as get more contracts, because we did the quotes as well. So that's basically what I did for 32 years. I'm a lifelong resident of Vienna, with the exception of 6 years. I went to Jackson Pool when it was open, those cold mornings, and doing swim lessons and all that stuff, to at nighttime swimming. I participated in the rec, baseball and basketball, and even even hockey when it was at Vienna Elementary. My kids grew up here. I had 2 children. They participated in all the rec sports. I gave back some to the city during that time of being a coach. Now I'm retired, as I said earlier, so I want to give back again. And I think this is a great opportunity to be on the council. I did apply to be also with the primary, to do that as well. I think there's some consistency in that, and having less disruption. Now, obviously, the citizens of Vienna will determine who they want to be on council, in May. But that's one reason why I just did both of them.
Okay, thank you. Kim, go ahead.
Welcome, Rodney.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you being here and your willingness to put yourself forward for not only the temporary position, but also on the ballot and for the voters to decide in May. So my question was really just the question of why, and you answered some of that a little bit in your opening remarks, but maybe you can expand on that a little bit more, and why you want to run, why you want the position, and also what you would like to accomplish.
These are great questions. I tell you, I get excited about this as far as the why goes. Vienna's went through a lot since I was a child. It was a small town. In the 60s, you had the pool that moved, basically, because I remember it was at Spencer Park, it was a little waiting pool. Then we had the big pool. Then in the 70s, the mall came. Then that started the Miracle Mile, which I think we're still experiencing that. And I want to be a part of that. I want to have a say, just like you guys have a say, in bringing some businesses in Vienna, or for that matter, in the surrounding areas, because if you bring employment in, you do get those employees living in Vienna. We have ahead of us some great opportunities. That past couple council meetings, you saw where Jim Christie's had the plan for the Parks and Recreation, which I thought was just fantastic. I think that will put, to me, in my opinion, will put Vienna on the Parks and Recreation map. When you think of like the volunteer fire department, if you ask people, what's the best volunteer fire department, and the city of Vienna will be mentioned. I want that to be the Parks and Recreation. I want people to come to Vienna to see what we have to offer. So that way, they will spend time here, maybe spend an overnight stay. There's the hotels, they'll definitely shop, and they'll definitely eat. So I want to be a part of that to bring forth. So, and I think your second question is, what do I want to see?
What you want to accomplish?
Okay. Well, Vienna has some work to do, and I want to be a part of that. There's the sewer lines, the water lines that needs to be taken care of, which you guys are starting to work on that. There's some bridges across Pond Run that needs to be, rebuilt and exchanged. There's John's Manville property, the upper end of it. We need to do something about that. And I have some ideas about what I like to see, or at least offer. I mean, it may not go anywhere, but at least, you can offer it. There is a financial plan I think we need to do as a city, and that may be part of the 5-year plan or the 10-year plan or whatever that we've looked at. There's the thinking ahead, 5 years, 10 years from now, what's our police force going to look like? What's the fire department going to look like? Are we going to have to start having full-time positions there? Just things like that. I want to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
What do you see as, I ask you the same question I've asked everybody else. What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and what areas do you think we can use those strengths to build on to improve?
I think just where it lies geographically, in West Virginia, right along the Ohio River, we have a lot to offer there. We have a great workforce, in my opinion. We're within a day's drive. That's if you could drive 500 miles a day, which is not too bad. That reaches almost 150 million people. We have a lot to offer. We have an airport. I think it's underutilized. Why can't we bring industries in that would utilize that airport more? Whether it's a UPS hub or a FedEx hub or Amazon or a smaller version of it. We have opportunities. We got places where we can build, to offer those type services.
Excuse me, do you have any experience in budgeting?
Yes, with at Highmark, I had employees that ranged from 1 up to 40 some. I had multi-million-dollar budgets, and also with the book of business that I was partly responsible for, which was $300 million. We had to make sure we were financially sound as an insurance company, to cover any unexpected costs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good, Jim.
Hey, Rod. So my question's been about our workforce. With your background and experience in underwriting actuarial, we've got kind of an aging workforce in some roles. And of course, you've been involved or aware we're a Blue Cross customer for our employees. What do you see going forward with the respect to the value of our workforce and the way to continue to develop those to deliver services to our citizens?
Well, speaking of the workforce, it is a different workforce than it was 20, 30 years ago. I've done hundreds of interviews, and you got to find a person that is fit to do the job, almost like they're called in to do the job. For example, at Highmark, you had customer service. That took a special person, because you never get someone that calls you and say, hey, I just want to let you know you guys are doing a great job. It's always someone calling, how come my claim didn't get paid? Or, you canceled my coverage or whatever. So, it takes a special person to do that. And as far as the workforce today, when you seek that out, then you start trying to train them. Today's workforce, you go through retail, any type of store, and very rarely do you have someone say, well, thank you for shopping here. They give you your change back, or if you're using your card and they give you the sales slip, you end up saying thank you. That person needs to be trained. And I think the workforce You just need to train them the way you want them to be like.
I guess I know what your skills are, Rod, because we've worked together for the last 17 years, with, Highmark. And I know you've got a pretty complete resume when it comes to the recreation programs and your involvement through all of that process. And I always felt like you were a member of our team, that I felt like when we would go into the insurance negotiations during budget time, that you were actually part of the team, working to help Vienna get the best that we can get. I know your responsibilities were high, Mark, but I always felt like you gave us the benefit of the doubt. And so, how do you feel that you would fit in as a member of this 7-person board, as a team member, to work with us all, have your own opinions, put them forth, but be able to compromise and work for the greater good?
Well, I think number one is that in the job I had at Highmark, you can't get your way. It just doesn't work. Long time ago when I first started there, I had a motto: you lead, you follow, or you get out of the way. And you know what? You didn't make very many friends that way, because you end up being, you end up being sometimes maybe perceived as being a little obnoxious. And then you start to realize that you've got to try to listen to what someone is saying, and you've got to try to get what they want. And that's how I treated our sales department, is that, okay, what do you need? What can I do for you? And as far as a rate increase, like in the city of Vienna, they would tell me they can't absorb this 10, 15, 20% rate increase. And then I'd go back and look and see what we can do as far as reducing that rate increase. And if I couldn't help them, I'd give them the reasons why. Great about this country is a democracy. Not everyone gets their way. Everyone has a vote. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you don't. But you don't get emotionally compromised. You don't get upset about it, because things will come in your way. The nice thing about the council is you have a debate, and hopefully out of that debate you get a better decision or a conclusion than you had when you only had your opinion.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left. So I'm going to let Roger
Sorry,
ask his real
Roger.
quick.
That's okay. Rod, you kind of answered this in your introduction and into some of the other questions, but to kind of summarize, if you were to summarize 2 or 3 priorities moving forward for the city.
Well, that'd be sewer and water lines. You got to take care of that. You got the Spencer's Landing and the pool. You got to address that issue. I think you got to take care of bridges. And I think in 5 years, 10 years down the road, you got to find a way to alleviate some of the traffic on Grand Central, whether it's making a 4-lane on Rosemar Road, giving a direct access to Grand Central Mall, to go up over the hill down to Rosemar Road, or to Lakeview back that way. I think you got to plan ahead, look ahead on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening. I'll give you one last word, and time's up.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity. It doesn't matter how the answer goes tonight, I'm in it, so you'll see me in the primary. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Teresa, we're ready for Kelly Craft.
We've had all kinds of fun back there.
Kelly, I'll tell you, you'll have 12 minutes You can open with just telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start the questioning down here with Kim, and we'll work our way around. When it gets to me, I'll let you know how much time you've got left, and then Roger will ask you the last question.
Okay.
And you'll have a chance to close.
Okay.
All right,
My
go
name's Kelly Kraft. I've lived in Vienna for 38 years. I'm married to Rob Kraft. We have raised 3 kids in Vienna. They all attended Vienna schools. We've attended church in Vienna for 38 years. We have coached Vienna Rec throughout the years. We also have coached the Vienna Soccer Club. We ran that for 7 years in Vienna. We are very family-oriented family. The community as a family is important to us. I started out working in Vienna when I was in high school at Vienna Foodland. Started out as a cashier, worked my way up to management there, worked there 9 years. Worked at Medicine Shop. He had 2 locations, one here in Vienna and one in Parkersburg. I worked for him, Bob Lincecum, for 12 years. I currently work at Dutton Pharmacy. I've been there for 16 years. And I currently also work at Bath & Body occasionally for 15 years. I try to prioritize my work schedule with my family. I enjoy both jobs immensely. Working with the public, as you can tell with my history, I've always worked with the public in some form of retail. Basically, that is me in a nutshell.
Great, thank you. Kim, go ahead.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for coming out this evening and putting yourself forward for this consideration for the temporary position and also to be on the ballot for the voters to decide in May. So my question is just the question of why. Why are you seeking this seat and what do you hope to accomplish?
Why is, it has always been something I have always wanted to do. Like I said, serving the public in retail has formed me wanting to serve more of myself. When I was raising 3 kids, that wasn't an option of doing something like this. And once I got them raised and moved out of my house, and it's more me time now. And I feel that I have the time and the history and learning knowledge behind me now that it's something that I could do and enjoy to do.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. What do you see as Vienna's strengths and how can we build upon those to improve the city in the future?
The strength of Vienna is their citizens. You can walk down any street and know someone. Stand and talk to them for forever. The community as a whole has always been really firm, community-oriented. Raising kids in Vienna, you know everybody. It's a tight-knit community. The strength is definitely the citizens. What I would like to see in the future is to make the community more safe, more appealing, something to draw. The parks thing is just, I'm just itching to be a part of that. The parks thing is just such an opportunity for the community. And if it's something that can be done, whether I'm a part of it or not, it's something that the city council really needs to look at and think for the citizens on their behalf of doing that for them.
Do you have any experience in budgeting?
In budgeting, let's see. My husband worked at John Manville for 17 years. In the 17 years he was there, he he was laid off 3 times. The 4th time was a permanent layoff, was supposed to be permanent, and he went back to work, I think, 6 months, and then the plant shut down. In that course of time, being laid off, I had to manage a household raising 3 kids, unemployment, the one lockdown, there was no unemployment. I know it's not even comparable to what the city budget is, but as a parent, a mother, a wife, you learn how to scrape and scrounge and readjust things to accommodate what happens. I'm sure I have a lot to learn, but I do have some things to bring to that.
So, to tie into that, my question's been about the city's workforce. We've been asked a couple questions about the budget, about the value, and you've placed, the citizens of Vienna. What priority do you place on the workforce and the ability to deliver services to the city and make the quality of life that we have here as far as our employees?
Vienna has a lot of opportunity to grow in the workforce. One of the things, and I don't know if it's feasible, is the boundaries of Vienna. Are they expandable? Are we going to be able to bust out our boundaries and kind of grow in that way? I don't know what the feasibility is of that, but that's what is in my mind. Can we expand to bring bigger opportunities in and be more appealing to a workforce? And a workforce not that is just bringing minimum wage jobs and jobs that don't provide insurance. We want to bring something that is appealing long term. Insurance, good pay, stuff like that. I mean, those are just some ideas. Like I said, I'm not sure what the feasibility is, but.
Great, thank you. Mayor's passing on to Roger because he got kind of shorted the last time with time. So Roger, go ahead with your question. Kelly, you're about 4 minutes or so. Okay.
Thanks for being here, Kelly. My questions kind of ends up kind of being a summary of what's already been discussed and what's already been asked. But when thinking about the city of Vienna and moving forward, the city moving forward, what do you think might be perhaps 3 priorities that you would look to move the city forward?
The first priority would probably be to have some sort of a 5-10-year plan. And I know, that's in the works. That would be the first priority, to get that going and get it set. The second would probably be, and I believe the city is on to it anyway, is to make sure that our water lines and our sewer lines and our roads are up to par. If you're going to pave a road, let's make sure the water lines and the sewer underneath are in good shape so we're not tearing it up 6 months down the road and just laying it. That would be my second one. The third one would probably be the parks. What do we have to offer the kids to keep them out of trouble? Busy minds and busy hands, they tend to not get in trouble. We need to think about things to do for the kids. And Vienna kids, we're family oriented. There's a lot of kids here. And, if we keep them off the streets, keep them busy in the parks, I think that's the way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, did you want to follow up with your question that you skipped on? Were you good?
Kelly, I know that you've always been part of youth sports programs when you were younger. Your kids were younger.
Younger.
And so my question was, what do you think that you would bring to the table as far as a team member to work with the other 6 members of this council to, accomplish the goals that you think are important, as well as the goals that the rest of the council thinks important?
In running and sitting on the several boards that I have sat on through the county, the state level, listening. My dad always taught me, if you keep your mouth shut, you can learn a lot more than what you do when you talk. Sitting on the boards and all the different opinions, and not saying they weren't good, they were all good ideas, but what's feasible? And being willing to bend, to negotiate, prioritize. We might not be able to do this now, but maybe down the road we can do this. Compromising. We have to learn, and in order to better something, we might have to step back from something else. And I think each person, when you feel passionate about something, you want to stand your ground. And sometimes you have to step back in order to go forward later on. And, I've always been willing to do that. And I think listening is the key.
Thank you. You're out of time now, but if you want to give another just closing thought, you're welcome to.
No, I think I've said everything that's in my heart. Even if I don't make it, I'm still going to be here. I'm a citizen. I love this community. So I'll be back.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, Teresa, we're ready for Mr. Emmerich, please. Thank you. Well, you've had the most time back there.
I've been talking to myself for 10 minutes.
You're going to get 12 minutes here with us, like everybody else. And when we start out, if you would, just tell us a little bit about yourself. We do have the stuff that you had given us, like anybody that had given us, in case you knew, I did give all the council members the resumes and things like that for everybody. After you're done, then Kim will start at the end. And when it gets around to me, I'll let you know how much time you've got left, and Roger will wrap us up.
All right.
Okay? All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to come and to even be considered for this position. Any type of service to the community, whether it be on a local level, state level, or federal level, comes with great responsibility. And I'm just thankful again for the honor to be able to even be considered in such a position. You have my write-up, and you can see that I've spent the past 24 years or so in the military, various assignments in various positions across the nation and around the world. I am a native of West Virginia, was born and raised here, grew up here, had several family members, obviously, in amongst the community from one end to the other. My sister, owns and operates a business locally. And I've just recently returned to the area full-time to be with family, to spend time with family, and to help family. And hopefully have an opportunity to help my community as well.
Great, thank you. All right, Kim, you start off.
All right, well, I'd like to welcome you this evening, and just say really appreciate you being willing to put yourself out there to be considered for the temporary appointment. Are you also considering the ballot as well?
No, I am not.
Just the temporary appointment?
Just the temporary appointment.
Okay, great. So my question has just been the question of why. Why are you seeking this seat? And even though it's temporary, what would you hope to accomplish in that time?
The reason in which, or the reasons I would say, because there's obviously multiple reasons, that I took interest in this is because, one, I'm a Vienna native, coming back to the area after serving on a national level, wanted an opportunity to be able to continue to serve. I am close to retirement, making obviously some decisions in what regards will happen after that. But I saw this as an opportunity to be able to help. I have a broad knowledge and experience when it comes to government operations, civilian support teams, both on local, state, and federal levels. I have contract experience. I have resource availability and training that I've had over the years. I have a proven track record in the military of leading individuals and managing programs. And I believe that the skill set that I have can be a benefit and an asset, not only to this council, but to the community as a whole.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. What do you see as Vienna's strengths, and how can we build on those to improve in the future?
Vienna's strengths have always been, and from the time that I grew up, was the very close-knit community that it was. And if you go across the nation in different formats and areas, you see that Vienna is very unique in the sense that it is that close-knit group of individuals. Vienna has a proper area and seating to be able to reach, other communities, to be able to affect change, and to be able to be a warm and inviting area for individuals to want to come and be a part of, both professionally and personally.
Thank you. Do you have any experience in budgeting?
Yes, I've been a resource management officer for the United States government. I currently fulfill contract officer representative goals, which establishes what budgeting is for a specific contract, managing that contract, seeing that the statement of work in that contract are fulfilled, both for the government and the contractor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jim?
Chad, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Read your resume. Obviously, as a master sergeant, you've commanded a lot of soldiers over time. Also, see you've done some recruiting. My question is about focus. When we come into the budget, a big part of our budget has to do with our employees' compensation, total benefit package. What value do you see in placing that with respect to the ability of the city of Vienna to continue to provide valuable services to its citizens?
So let me if I understand your question, when it comes to compensate,
Well, yeah, in the because you mentioned you've come, you're not on the ballot, and you're going to offer your assistance and considerable background and expertise.
yes, sir.
In our budget, we compete different priorities, a Bobcat versus an employee. All right. What value do you see and what role do you see a compensation plan designed to retain our employees and deliver the services to our citizens in terms of its importance as we go into this budget process?
So individuals as a whole have to be provided proper incentive to be able to achieve goals. Without proper incentive, individuals just don't put forth the effort. Incentive provides passion provides drive, and drive provides completion of services. When individuals feel that they're valued and they place a lot of responsibility on compensation as what their value is, they look at that, and that then determines, for a lot of people, the amount of work that they're going to do. Do you value me? Do you value me as a person? And how do we show that in most cases? We show that through the level of compensation, through benefits, and through recognition. So I believe it's very important to compensate individuals for the level of work in which they do and the importance of the job that they're required and asked to do. Without that, you would find yourself in a position where nobody wants to do. You can get individuals to volunteer, but that only lasts for so long. So just like recruitment, you have to compensate those individuals according to what you're asking them to do. And that plays a huge role in getting them then to fulfill their obligations and give you or achieve the goals that you're wanting to achieve.
Great, thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Lost my microphone here. I follow up with Mr. Leach's comment or question. You know, our world has turned into a very competitive arena. We compete for employees every day because they're hard to come by. And so you have the challenge of retaining the ones that you have because you have invested training and knowledge in them. And with our police officers, for example, that whole world has changed. The dynamic of being a first responder has changed. And so when we talk about compensation and how are you going to retain or recruit new employees and whatever, it's a team that you're trying to build so that as you have good players in all of these positions, you work as a cohesive unit for the greater good. What skill do you think that you would bring to the table to work with the 6 other teammates that you would have here to benefit the city?
So in any situation where you are collaborating amongst a group of individuals, you have to first identify what your goals are. When we talk about compensating individuals for their work and also the recruitment of individuals, you have to go above and beyond what is given financially, because you can only give so much financially. There's only so much money at times to be able to do things. So you have to find other ways to provide incentive for them to want to be part of that specific team. So when we're looking at, whether it be our first responders, our police force, our fire department, our EMT, our city workers, everyone has a specific purpose and a need to fulfill that job. We can look at other ways that may be non-monetary to provide them the encouragement, to provide them the incentive to want to do and to want to do better and be a part of the team that would consist of whatever agency that they were working for in Vienna, to want to choose to be a part of that. It's not always about dollars and cents. It can be about the drive. It can be about the passion. It can be about the appreciation that we as a council would show our employees, our responders, on what they were doing. Many times when I would have to encourage soldiers to do things, I can't give them additional money. I can't pay a soldier any more than what their pay raise is. But I could find other ways to compensate what they do, whether it be through recognition, whether it be through additional time off when it was needed, whether it was just through encouragement, and just the basic core principle of them knowing that I cared not only about their job and what they were doing for me, but I cared about them as a person. I cared about their family. I cared about what they had going on. So I couldn't compensate my team in the way of finances to do more, but I would take individuals to lunch. I would bring food in. I would give them time off for anniversaries and birthdays and children's activities where I could. And they began to see that I not only cared about what they were doing for me, but I cared about what they had going on in their life. And once they understood that, Chad Emmerich has your back. I've got you. You are more than a number. You're more than just an employee. You're more than just a boot on the ground. I understand you have family. You have kids. You have situations that are going on outside of work. And by putting all of that together, I was able to encourage teams to do far above and beyond even what we expected from them.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. You've got about a minute and a half left, and I'll kick it to Roger.
Chad, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
I want to start by saying thank you for your extensive military service to our country.
Thank you, sir.
Now, my question is kind of a summary of what we've really already discussed and some of the answers that you've given and also in your presentations. But moving forward, with this, looking at the city of Vienna moving forward, what would be 3 top priorities in your mind to move the city of Vienna forward?
If I were going to give the top 3, it would be economic growth, it would be public safety and outreach, and it would be improvement of infrastructure. Those are three key things that can bring success to any government and/or agency.
Will you say those again?
Economic growth, public safety and outreach are tied hand in hand, and infrastructure improvement.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have any closing remarks for us, you've got just a few seconds left, and then we'll wrap up our evening.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to come and represent and be considered. I know I stand amongst, a group of peers that all bring something special to the table in some way, in some form. And again, I'm just very thankful for the opportunity to be here this evening.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so that concludes our interviews. Next, we will be taking nominations, and I want to start off just by saying thank you to everybody who came tonight. It is really cool. When we put this out there, and we decided that we were going to take a temporary position. We were going to fill the seat temporarily to get us through budget season, that kind of thing. We didn't really know how this was going to go, and who was going to respond. And it is really encouraging to see so many people that want to be a part of this. We have something special here, and I enjoy working with other council members, and we look forward to having a seventh member up here. So some of you guys are on the ballot in May, and I wish you well. Truly wish you well. For me personally, I'm not going to tip the scale in that direction and nominate or endorse somebody who is on the ballot. Mr. Emmerich, I think we've hit just the tip of the iceberg with you. I think you have a place here in leadership in some capacity. We need to get you involved. But this time, though, however, I'm going to nominate Chuck Knopfsinger. I'm going to lead off with nominations, and I'm going to kind of do that because it's my husband's seat that we're filling. I'm going to take dibs, okay? I would like to nominate Chuck Knopfsinger for the position. I believe that he will fill it with excellence and be fair, and not that any of you guys wouldn't. I believe each of you would do that, but Chuck is who I would like to formally nominate. We are going to be able to have discussion about nominations. If anybody else has another nomination, we'll take that as well. So if there's somebody else that would like to nominate a candidate, you can do that at this time. And then once all the nominations are in, we will take a vote in the order in which they were nominated.
Would you please go over the selection rule?
Let me think.
It's on the bottom of your rules. The first candidate to receive 4 votes will be the one selected.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, it takes a majority, and there's 6 of us here, so majority would be 4. So the first one to receive a majority is the one. So we'll know who all the nominations are. So, I'll review, who has been nominated, and so who you're voting for. So the first one who receives 4 votes or more will be the
temporary candidate.
The temporary candidate, yes.
Yes. Person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very good. Anybody else?
This is going to be very difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult because I think we had some excellent candidates tonight. Every one of you. There's just a tremendous amount of pros to your desire to be on council, and it is going to be a very, very tough decision. For those of you that have chosen to be on the ballot, I wish you the best. I really do. So it's a tough decision. It's going to be a tough call. We've had excellent presentations by all of you. We've had excellent questions and some very, very, very impressive responses from you. I, like Melissa, am amazed of just your activity, your love for the city, and your desire to see the city of Vienna move forward. Having said that, and again, like I said, this is a very, very, very tough, going to be a tough decision tonight. But having said that, I would like to nominate Mr. Chad Emmerich.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think any one of those, this may sound like political garbage, but I think any one of the 7 of you would be very good. But Kelly had a lot of support in Kelly Craft in the last election, and I choose to nominate her.
Okay. Okay.
So I believe that the temporary position should be the main consideration in this, simply because all of the people that have chosen to run for the continuing office will be on the ballot in May. And I would prefer that the people of Vienna be the determining factor in who actually gets to retain the seat for the next 3 years. And so for that reason, I would also concur on the nomination for Chuck Knopfsinger.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. If there isn't anybody else, then we'll just do a show of hands. Well, I'll start off. We'll do a roll call. Who would like to? You're voting for the candidate. Okay, so you're voting for the person. So the first one that we'd like to vote on is Chuck Knopfsinger as the temporary councilperson for that seat. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, that's 4. All those opposed? I guess the other 2.
You don't vote.
Sorry.
Chuck, I'm going to put up my other hand.
Sorry. Okay, so because we have 4, then we don't need to vote for Chad or for Kelly. And Chuck Knopfsinger will be our temporary council person. So once again, to each of you, you have a passion for service. And I look forward to seeing how you are directed and how you are led into other ways to do that. So I can't wait to see how the voters vote, the citizens. They'll be well informed, and go get them. You know, we've been there. We know what it's like. So, yeah.
Before I swear Chuck in, I'd like to make a comment, please. First, I'd like to say thank you to all of you all that came out tonight. I wish you the best of luck in the campaign. Each one of you brings a very good skill set to the council, and whoever takes the seat permanently, wow, we're going to look forward to having you work with us. The second thing that I would like to say is I know this has been a very difficult evening for Mrs. Elam because we are replacing Mike. But I have to say, you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. I mean, okay. Tough time.
Very, very
Banged
good.
it, all right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Knopfsinger, if you would join me up front.
I just want to, quick thanks. Also, that everybody came out, and I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome of this race. And Chad, I'm really glad you came forward, man. You got an impressive resume. I mean, I will say, you know, Chuck's been here involved, but but as far as the remaining people that are going to be on the ballot, go get them, man. We're looking for someone to join us. So thank you.
Chuck, since you're by yourself this evening, would you like Melissa to hold the Bible for you?
I would love that. Very much.
Stand. Where do I stand? gotta raise his right hand, so.
That's really,
It's my left hand.
he's raising his
I gotta
right
raise
hand.
my right hand.
If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Smack him on the back of the head, Melissa.
I,
I,
Chuck Knopfinger,
Chuck Knopfinger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of West Virginia,
of the State of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of councilperson
of councilperson
in and for
in and for
the city of Vienna,
the city of Vienna,
Wood County,
Wood County,
West Virginia,
West Virginia,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Counselor. Please don't leave till I get you to sign this.
Okay.
All right.
Contract.
Council, if you would do me a favor, let's all join with Mr. Knopfinger.
Thank you. Thank you.
Slide over to the board.
You coming up?
You all right?
Are you going backwards?
You going up? Okay.
Tom, you can squeeze in.
Remember, guys, we need somebody up here. Here in front.
I'm a tall guy.
Can you get us in, Teresa?
Don't poke her. Hold
If
on.
not, we'll double stack.
Do we need to?
Yes, we're good.
Oh, I can stand in front.
I think we're good. Here we go, on three. 1, 2, 3. Very good, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Randy, you wrapping up?
I'm sorry?
Are you wrapping up?
I am. I'm done. We're done.
Okay. Do we need to gavel out or
I
what?
will. I have one announcement before we leave this evening. The next council meeting will be this Thursday. It will be our regular first council meeting of the month. And we start, no, excuse me, this is another special meeting
Yeah.
because we start the budget process. So this Thursday at 6 o'clock, we will start with Department